Ubisoft is most likely being bought by someone, potentially Tencent. And I was doing some diving into this research the other day and just chatting with ChatGPT about likely buyers and suitors of them. And it said the most likely company to be purchasing Ubisoft, and it was a high likelihood of it, was Tencent. Tencent has already gone into a deal with Ubisoft, a partnership with them for their most valuable properties, including Assassin's Creed, among others. And according to how Tencent typically operates, they dip their toes in, they find out more information about a studio or a company, and then they buy a little bit more. And if it all makes sense to them, they just buy the entire thing. And that in itself tells me that if they like what they see so far, they might actually buy out or acquire Ubisoft, debt and all. And people say, well, they're in debt over $2 billion, which is true that Ubisoft is in a lot of debt right now. And it might sound ridiculous to purchase a studio in $2 billion worth of debt until you realize that the value of the company could be worth $30 billion. Then the $2 billion in debt doesn't feel like very much, does it? It changes your entire perspective and outlook on what the situation is. And if that's the case, that would mean bankruptcy is out of the picture. Destin on X, not that anyone is surprised, but rumors are swirling that Ubisoft has been acquired by Tencent. This is from Gaming Leaks and Rumors. It said Ubisoft is getting bought by someone. According to Omar Alamoudi, same person who teased Onimusha's return and Xbox pulling out of the MENA, he said, end quote, imagine, within a single generation, all the world's largest third-party companies have been acquired. Attaches the logos of EA, ABK, and Ubisoft. He says it's Tencent in the replies, by the way. So I headed over to Gaming Leaks and Rumors to find out more about this, and they actually presented the source of it, which is this right here, which is in Arabic. Let me Google translate it. And this is what I just read here. And he replies here. And then people ask why I hate talking on this app. You post a normal discussion and whoosh, it turns into a global rumor and then news on websites. But Ubisoft didn't get any. It was simply created as a new company in partnership with Tencent China. What always puzzles me is how a company like Ubisoft, with its iconic titles and low prices, isn't getting any buyers. And Omar replied, the new company, Abdullah, now owns the rights to Assassin's Creed titles and others. Ubisoft, the parent company, now owns the less successful and popular titles, and Tencent owns about 10% of them. Now I understand the partnership concept, and I'm still surprised no one bought Ubisoft. It's valued at $3 billion, and the company's situation is strange. If someone with the sense to buy them were to do so, I'd expect they'd produce some truly historic games, since their games are good, but they need to reduce their focus on large-scale open-world games. And Omar replied, because the original owner and founder of the company, Yves Guillemot, doesn't want to sell it. He's fighting left and right to avoid selling, even though it's clear from the outset that no matter what he tries to do, splitting the company up, opening new ones, etc., he will sell it. And I posted, rumors are beginning to swirl that Ubisoft has been acquired by Tencent. And this would speak to the Ubisoft stock being halted. And it's now been halted for going on 4 or 5 days now with no updates and their latest quarterly earnings being delayed. And when this first happened, I was thinking, man, I'm kicking myself. Not financial advice, but this would have been easy money to invest in Ubisoft. Because when you go to ChatGPT and you ask it, just for example, do you think Ubisoft will be acquired? There's a strong possibility that Ubisoft could be acquired, but it's by no means a sure thing. Here's a breakdown of the evidence. And it goes on to strategic option review announced, trading halt and earnings delay, IP and carve out details already happening, weakening financial signals. If you were to assign a probability, I'd say there's something like a 60 to 70% chance that Ubisoft will be acquired or meaningfully absorbed within the next 12 to 24 months. Who is the most likely buyer? Why Tencent appears most likely? Tencent already holds stake in Ubisoft. According to news sources, Ubisoft announced January 2025 that it appointed advisors to explore strategic options for a potential buyout deal. Multiple recent articles named Tencent as the leading suspect. The non-US nature of the potential buyer is highlighted in rumors. Potential buyer is not an entity from the United States. The strategic moves Ubisoft has already taken, subsidiary carve-out, biggest franchises. What would you value Ubisoft at if it were to be purchased outright? If Ubisoft were purchased outright, reasonable approximation, market cap is currently 900 million to 1.1 billion. Revenue declining, not strong financial shape for the future. Base market cap of 1 billion, adjusting for takeover premium, 1.2 to 1.5 billion. If buyer sees major strategic value, 2 to 3 billion in an optimistic scenario. Given the carve-out deal, 4 billion. One could argue the full company is latent value, yet risk decline. 1.5 to 3 billion USD. Market cap around 1 billion. So the takeover premium 20 to 50% above market cap, 1.2 to 1.5. Something that I think is important to highlight here too is the rise in value of these companies from alternate buyers as well. Like Saudi Arabia buying EA, what was that? Was that in the 40 to 50 billion? Buying EA for a tremendous amount of debt in this deal of $55 billion. So if you're Tencent and you're looking to grow and acquire some IPs and brands, you understand that this is a failing company. You understand why with the injected ideologies and DEI throughout it. You're a Chinese company. Some could argue that was part of the plan all along to destroy the company, to buy it up for cheap. And you know you can make it based again and make infinite money. Some could argue you look at this Ubisoft situation, that would be a bargain for Tencent to walk up and be like, yep, we'll just buy it and cash outright. That's nothing to us. Pay for the debt, get rid of all of it, and put these properties back on track for success moving forward. I could see it happening. At the current place that it's in right now, though, I got to be honest, I don't think Ubisoft is going to come back and say, okay, I could be wrong, but I don't think they're going to put this stock back for sale without a major announcement. That's why it's halted for so long. They might be hammering out the nitty-gritty details of the purchase, but this would have been one of those opportunities previous to make a lot of money. Not financial advice, but just by chatting with ChatGPT, I would have thought Ubisoft was going bankrupt. But no, a conversation with that is like, no, that's not a likely scenario. Going back to it, say, how likely is a bankruptcy scenario instead? See, here we go. Very unlikely for a company with declining share values, 2 billion plus in debt, and franchises that are failing to garner any kind of care from anyone. ChatGPT is like, yeah, still no. A buyout, carve out, or restructuring is far more likely than bankruptcy. Ubisoft still has strong IP, has powerful external backers. France usually protects major tech media companies. Ubisoft has not hit the code red financial markers, which you could say they're getting close to. But so what is likely? Full or partial buyout, most likely. Tencent is the most probable acquirer. Others, private equity, Embracer, no. NetEase, no, probably not. Amazon, no. Maybe Amazon might be second. Maybe Sony, no. Our second team. I could see maybe Amazon. I don't think NetEase or Sony, though. Definitely not Embracer. Selling off or carving out franchises. They already did this with Tencent. Major restructuring and layoffs. Possible consolidation of European studios, shutdown of regional support offices, and more cuts. Real bankruptcy probability in the next 12 months, less than 5%. Now, you remember we were talking earlier about how it was in the next year, what was it, 60% chance of acquisition? Yeah, 60 to 70%. Much higher than bankruptcy. Not saying, by the way, that investing in this company would guarantee you money, but I mean, these are the odds that I'd like to play. So we'll see what happens with it. But I'll tell you guys right now, I'm kicking myself. This was one of those. I was so down on Ubisoft for so long that was just like, yeah, I convinced myself that it was going to go bankrupt. Instead of asking questions, I was just like, yeah, there's nothing there. They're in $2 billion worth of debt. They're going nowhere. It's over for them. No, it's not. No, it's not. They're going to keep living on. And most likely there's already a deal in place right now. But we'll see. I'll keep you guys posted as soon as something officially gets announced. As of right now, there is nothing that I've seen officially announced, but I got a feeling we won't have to wait too long. We'll see. But for now, I'll leave it right there.